Nelson Mandela was a public figure who led a very private life. He was best known by his inner circle of family and close associates in the anti-apartheid movement. Here to share his insights is SHAKA SISULU. He is the grandson of ANC stalwart Walter Sisulu. I asked him about Monday's prayer service inside the Mandela home in Soweto.
As with every evening, it's quite somber. There's a reflective mood in the room, but also there's a poignancy about it all. Not completely in the doldrums, happy that he is now finding peace and that he's going to, he's not going to be suffering on this earth any longer.
Tell me what your memories of Nelson Mandela are as you were growing up.
I saw him, just after he'd been released, and he was incredible. He was an incredible man to behold, an incredible energy. And, we hadn't seen him in many years, so we only had these pictures to go off. And we saw him come out, and he seemed like an old man compared to the pictures that we had. But he still had the vigor and the energy of a very young man, still was able to touch people, connect, make everyone smile. And just seeing him the first time I did, I was mesmerized by him and his comrades, because these were my icons as I was growing up.
Absolutely, and one of those icons was your own grandfather, Walter Sisulu. Can you tell me how their fight for freedom has shaped your life?
It's an incredible partnership. The two of them, plus Oliver Tambo, there's, most young people have recognized that uncannily, there's a 10-year difference between each of their passing, between Oliver Tambo passing, my grandfather passing, and Mandela passing. And it seems quite significant that these three gentlemen who were friends, lifelong friends, were able to achieve what most people, wouldn't have thought they'd be able to achieve. And they kept on saying, freedom in our lifetime, freedom in our lifetime. So for me, beyond the freedom that they have brought us, just the idea that anything is possible has been planted in my own mind. It was incredible, to think of the kind of hardships they went through and finally succeeded and finally have left us a free South Africa.
Mr. Mandela's presence, as well as your grandfather's presence, Walter Sisulu, looms so large over South Africa. And even though Mr. Mandela was sick for quite a long time, and we've had some time to adjust to the thought of his no longer being here on Earth, are you in a bit of disbelief that he's actually gone?
Mr. Mandela did start to prepare us. For the past 2 to 3 years, there have been a lot of false starts. And we've had a lot of occasions to rush to hospital, rush to the house, believing that his time had come. It never did, and in all of those times, I think he prepared the nation. Even in his last dying moments, he almost seemed to wait until the end of the year, until business had been done, to say, okay guys, I think it's time for me to go. So considerate he seems to be. So there was disbelief, but we've known for some time that it's coming. We're never quite ready for it, but incredible, the leader that he was till the end, the consummate leader. He kept on getting us ready for the inevitable.
It would seem to me that the future of South Africa, it lies in the young people, the work that you do with Chief's kids. How do you see South Africa's way forward without Mr. Mandela?
I think Mr. Mandela has given us a great blueprint, a great roadmap, and one of his last big birthday celebrations, I think it was 2008, he said to everyone, it's in your hands, basically to the young people, it's in your hands. And it makes us realize that we actually have the power, young people have the power to shape the future. And it's through consistent, considered acts that I believe will be able to shape South Africa's future. I see a lot of young people all the time doing fantastic works. A lot of it still is isolated. I believe that once all the people who are working, doing fantastic work, come together and their work starts to converge, then I think we're going to see us emerging as the great nation we all know we can and should be.
I I just wonder, were there conversations either between you and your grandfather or even Mr. Mandela, other freedom fighters, about passing the mantle on? Were you sort of given instructions?
I grew up knowing that we had to grow, that it was my lot to fight for freedom when I was older, when I was the right age. When freedom came prematurely, as far as I was concerned, it did leave me a bit confused. But my grandfather always used to make me do little things like write speeches, prepare speeches for him, sit and he'd reflect and ask me about my views on the politics, and in those ways would have debates. And in those little ways he would shape my own understanding of South Africa, of the political terrain, and of the needs politically of a future South Africa.
As the entire world, quite literally, Shaka, watches the memorializing of Mr. Mandela as well as the celebration of his life, what would you say the world should take notice of and keep in mind during this time?
Well, I suppose it's fitting because the entire world watched as we celebrated his 70th birthday, and he was in jail at the time, and the Free Nelson Mandela concert in the UK, in London, was incredible. The whole world watched it and were in awe, and all of us began to know about this great man called Nelson Mandela. And then we saw him being released, and we saw him bring his country back from the brink of disaster into a new world, into a new generation, into new freedoms. And it was an incredible achievement. So it's fitting that the world watches now as we lay this great giant of a man, this icon, as we lay him to rest, as they also find a way to take inspiration from the great work that he did, from his own struggle, from his commitment to seeing the end that he did see for his people.
We know that indeed he is an icon, but he was not just an icon for you and your family. He was a friend and family member. So our thoughts and prayers are with you during this time of mourning. Shaka SISULU, thank you very much. In a program note, we will have complete coverage of the public memorial service in honor of Nelson Mandela tomorrow on Arise News.